Hi, as you can see, this is the Dubai Capitals podcast. I am Rovman Powell.
And I'm Jason Holder.
We're just gonna go through a few questions and have some fun while doing it. Jason, how much are you enjoying the ILT20 and where do you see the league in 5 years' time?
Yeah, so far it's been a really enjoyable experience. Obviously, my first time playing it. Just like any other league, there's always an excitement. Obviously, the fans come out and support. And yeah, I think it's one that can definitely grow and get bigger each and every year. And probably in the next 5 years, who knows, maybe it could move around more parts of the subcontinent maybe, or maybe going to Oman, Saudi Arabia, who knows, and just continuing to grow the game of cricket. So yeah, who knows where the game could be in the next 5 years, but yeah, hopefully it can get bigger and better and probably spread out a little bit more throughout the UAE. Yes, Robin, this is your second season. What do you believe sets ILT apart and defines the unique selling proposition compared to the other leagues?
Yeah, it's my second season, and it's a pleasure to be here. Last season was very good for me from an individual perspective and from a team perspective. This year it's kind of the same. As it regards ILT20, I think what makes it so different is that there's 3 different venues, and the 3 different venues offer something different. In Dubai, the pitches are good. In Sharjah, the pitch is not as good as Dubai, and in Abu Dhabi, generally there is a belter. So three surface, 3 different venues give you 3 different experience.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I understand what you're saying about Sharjah, man. Not very good memories there for us, for sure.
It's been 2 years and we play 4 games in Sharjah, and we lose all 4.
Oh, dear me. All right, play more games in Dubai. All right, Rovman, the West Indies conquered cricket giants India, South Africa, and England in consecutive T20 series under your captaincy. What's the secret sauce?
I think the secret lies within my interaction with the players. I try not to be a captain that things are centered around me, but things are centered around the players. I try my best to get players comfortable, and when you naturally get players comfortable, they will do good stuff. I think they are quality T20 players. We are a quality T20 team, and it's just for us now to get players comfortable and also get players in roles that they are familiar with.
Makes sense. So this is kind of a contrast to that question. What has been the most challenging moment in your cricket career, and how did you overcome it?
I think one of the most challenging moments of my cricketing career was when you were captain, Jason. I went through a phase. In India where we had 5 ODIs, and when you go into an ODI series and you're not scoring runs, because it is so much games, it becomes pressuring, and 5 ODIs in India and I was not scoring. That was one of the time when Kuldeep got me out very often, and I was actually struggling. Every game I went to, I score 1 or 2, those single figures score, and I keep going back to my room, keep questioning myself, keep wondering if I am good enough. What made it so challenging was that I came from other series before not scoring also. So when I reached India and I started not scoring again, it started feel like an additional burden. But I overcome it by just with your help as captain, and I also overcome it by just keep trusting myself and keep reinforcing that I am good enough to be playing international cricket for the West Indies.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you, Jason? What has been the toughest part of your career, and how did you overcome it? Such a long, illustrious career.
Man, there have been so many tough parts, man. I think captaincy has probably been the most challenging part of my career. But challenging in a good way. It's something that I really relish, and I think I personally get the best out of myself in a leadership position. But I think one of the most challenging times was probably captaining West Indies in ODI cricket. We had a horrid time as a group. I mean, if you look at it from a overall standpoint, I don't think I've won a series as captain in an ODI, ODI series as captain. but we've had, you know, a lot of series that went close. We had competitions that we got deep into, but we never quite got across the line. So I think challenging, yes, captaincy, but it's more so because there's so many different moving parts in West Indies cricket. Some days you might have access to some players, and some days you don't have access to other players. And there was always this debate as who are the best players to play, and you know who should be playing and who shouldn't be playing. You know, and trying to manage that as captain was tough because you know you're just using the resources that you have, but not necessarily the full set of resources that you would want. You know, and just having a full batch of players to choose from. So yeah, I probably think that's probably the most challenging part of my career. And to say that I overcome it was more or less trying to stick to the process of the system. The system was but the system is a tough system that we face in the Caribbean. You know, I think it's improved drastically over the years, but still not the finished product by no means. And you would have, I guess, similar challenges from that perspective, but yeah, I would probably say that's probably my most challenging.
Fortunately for me, while you were captain, I was one of the players, you know, and I think a lot of credit have to be given to you, you know, because at that point the team was going through a serious transition. You know, myself and a lot of other guys haven't played international cricket, you know, so that is one of the parts that would definitely make it so challenging for you. And it wasn't a case where you were an experienced international captain. You know, maybe you would have gotten the captaincy just maybe a few years before. Yeah. So the experience wasn't really there. And to have a lot of experienced guys, that in itself must be challenging.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. Yeah, beyond cricket, what passions or hobbies do you enjoy in your free time?
Oh, beyond cricket, you know, I've centered my life so much around cricket that I haven't done much outside of cricket, to be honest. You know, day in, day out, it has been cricket for me over the past few years. But fortunately enough for me, when traveling, you find a few little stuff that you actually like. And for me, the nightlife, you know, to go out, to just have a few drinks with friends, family, whoever you want tour with, you know, it's something that I enjoy doing. It's something that I look forward to. You know, also when I do travel, I like visiting the mall. You know, I think a lot of retail therapy for me is something that keeps me going. Fortunately enough, we've been blessed. We have been blessed. You know. Tell me about yours, Jace. How do you unwind and relax when not on a cricket field?
Well, I just came off the golf course, so you know that's my happy ground, to be honest. Yeah, I enjoy playing golf a lot. Similar to you, I like to spend time with my friends and family, man. So whenever I'm at home, you know, I don't necessarily go to all the big nightclubs or the big, you know, vibrant spots, but I stick in my little corner, you know, with my people. And to me, that brings a lot of satisfaction for me. But yeah, between golf and just spending time with family and friends, when I get the chance to spend time with family and friends.
If it wasn't cricket, what would have it been?
Now that I've grown a big love for golf, I wonder if I had played golf from a child, as I did with cricket. If
how good you would be at it.
How good I would be, you know, because I started pretty late, and I would consider myself not a bad golfer by the time that I've been playing, but I always wonder if I had access. You know, obviously golf is a very expensive sport, it's particularly in the Caribbean. So I mean, it was never something that we could afford, and never something I even thought about playing. So now that obviously, you know, life has changed for me drastically, and in different circles and what's not. I mean, I always wonder if I had played golf from a child, if I would have, you know, probably gravitated towards golf a little bit more.
Some things in life you will never know. As the sub-impact rule in T20, has it diminished the reliability on all-rounders?
I think it hasn't in its own way, to be honest. I think I'm not a big fan of it, and more so because like I don't understand how you could play a part of a game and it be counted towards your stats. You know, I feel as though if you're gonna play a game, you should be playing a full game. You know, I think it takes away from the tactical side of it as well too, and obviously the skill side of it, because you can then choose, you know, if you want to go in the direction of a frontline batter or a frontline bowler. There's nobody going to bring on a frontline fielder, a specialist fielder. So to me, it takes all-rounders not out the game, but it kind of takes the game away from seeing, you know, those little matchups between maybe a fifth and sixth bowler, you know, towards a set batter, you know, or maybe a frontline bowler bowling towards, you know, a all-rounder who will be coming in at 7 or 8. You know, I think that's gone out of the game, which is, to me, the strategic part of the game. And, you know, I'm not a big fan of it. I remember playing a game in the IPL where we had an impact player, and he literally batted 2 balls in the game. He didn't field. He obviously didn't bowl, but he just came into bat, and he had 2 balls to bat, and it's hard on an individual to come and bat 2 balls as well too. So, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it.
It's one of those rules that I can't wait for them to take it out of the game. I think it changed the landscape of cricket, and it didn't change it in a positive way for me. You understand? Cricket is those matchup between bat and ball, and with that 5th and 6th bowler that you talk about, sometimes when you're making your plans, you know, you plan around that, sure. and then now to see all of that being changed. And also, if it is very difficult now, and if you're looking for the last 10 or 5 years or so, to actually find conclusions as to better T20 players, because what happened now is that you're playing against 5 or 6 proper bowlers. Yeah. Back then you used to have lesser bowling unit that you would try to find 1 or 2 target. Now the bowling units are so good because of the impact players that it's very difficult to find hole in the bowling unit as a batter to try find 1 or 2 persons to put the pressure on.
I think a prime example is probably the game we played last night, where we would have probably been able to cash in on a part-timer to slipping overs. But I mean, if you look at Luke Wood, he didn't have the best of days, but because of the impact player, you know, they were able to bowl Shaheen, Madashanka, Hasaranga, Amir, so all those are frontline bowlers.
And last night was a special case. I've never played a T20. I've played about close to 200 T20 games, which now isn't a lot. But with all those T20 games that I've played, I've never played a game that we come up as batters come up against 4 left-arm fast bowler. You know, 4 left-arm fast bowler, that was the first. And then you have Asaranga, and the 4 left-arm fast bowlers aren't midgets. No. You know, they are proper world-class left-arm fast bowler, and we know the quality that Asaranga possesses. So yesterday, bowling attack is probably by far the best bowling attack in DP World ILT 2024.
Definitely, if you look at them on paper. You mentioned your ambition to launch a 130-meter 6 to Mandeep Singh. Are there any other personal records you're aiming to achieve?
Since the time I mentioned that to Mandeep, to now I'm nowhere closer to getting that 130 meter. But you know, in the moment you see some things, you were hitting the ball good in that IPL, so you felt as if you could have pushed the bar just a little. You know, but as it regards record, I don't think as a player you sit down and you say you're gonna go for that record. You know, I've never been one to do that. You know, but those things sometimes come. You know, when you are in a patch and you're doing well, you do things and then you hear that, hey, that is actually a record. You know, but it's not something that we would sit down, or for me would sit down and say, I am going to go for this record. Yeah. Jace, how do you manage to excel in all 3 formats? You know, you have milestones of 2,000 runs and 200 wickets in first-class cricket, let's say, and T20. That is absolutely something that not a lot of players can boast. So it's definitely a chink in your armory.
Look, man, if you ask me if I thought my career would have gone the way it went when I first started playing for West Indies, probably not. But for me, it's just that determination. I'm a person with a lot of pride, a lot of self-pride, and I like to compete. And for me, I don't like a situation where I'm in something and people, you know, like overpowering me or whatever the case may be. So for me, what's always driven me is that determination to outdo the opposition. You know, I obviously had a long stint with being in number one all around in the world, and for me, the only driving force is, I guess, the people around talking. So people will around say, well, maybe Stokes is a better all-rounder or whatever. But my numbers would have shown at that stage. And at the end of the day, we are all judged on. A lot of people judge players on numbers. You know, if you ask me if I agree if I should judge a player solely on numbers, I would never say that. I think it's more about impact and obviously games won. But for me, that was always my determination, just to try to be the best and try to win games for my team.
Let me take it back some years ago. What was Jason Holt as a young boy in Barbados, just looking to play for West Indies, have the ambition to play international cricket for the West Indies?
So, I mean, for me, my journey was practically, I don't want to say straightforward, but I came through the system. So I played on the 13 cricket for Barbados, I played on the 15 cricket for Barbados, played on the 17 cricket for Barbados, played on the 19 cricket for Barbados. And then I played West Indies on the 19 in the World Cup in 2010. And then I went into I played first class cricket for Barbados at 17 years old. So I was always, I guess, ahead of my age groups. And then when I finished on the 19 World Cup, you know, I was the second highest wicket taker in that World Cup. And then I felt as though I would just walk into a West Indies team, to be honest. But then Cricket West Indies put me into the high performance centre. And at that stage I was upset because I figured that would have slowed down my progress in terms of making the West Indies team. Little did I know, I feel as though that's probably the reason why I'm sat here today, because the 2 years I spent in the academy for me was probably 2 best years of my life. And it's not to say, like, I would say my game changed drastically, but I didn't understood what it was meant to be a professional cricketer. You know, I don't think I ever understood that. So we had to put in a lot of work physically. I've never trained that hard in my life up to this day. And then obviously understand batting a little bit more, understand bowling a lot more, and even fielding, like things I never done in growing up. I never practiced diving, sliding, you know, all these different things that we do now in the modern day game. So after that, 2 years in the high performance centre, I was then saying, well, yeah, all right, well, this time to West Indies cricket. No, man, I went through another little lull where I couldn't get in. I was always playing 18 cricket, wasn't doing badly in 18 cricket other ways, but then just couldn't get in. And I remember I had pretty much had a slow year, and at that time we had a sports psychologist called Simon Grayson who was working at the high performance centre, and I was one of those players I could put my hand up now and say, well, look, I knock the idea of a sports psychologist, but that's because I never really understood what it was about, because we never had that growing up, as you know. So I mean, I would only do the mandatory sessions when I was in high performance center. I would never go for anything personal one-on-one. So it's just like after I had that little lull after coming out of the HPC, I was obviously based in Barbados. The high performance center was based in Barbados. And I say, you know, well, it can't hurt me to try something different. So I went and I did a few sessions with Simon, and it then helped me in another way to understand a little bit more about my mind and how my body reacts under pressure, you know, things to do to handle pressure better. And I remember playing the next 18 series against Bangladesh, and I did extremely well, both bat and ball. And then shortly after that, I had a season for CCC and did well again there. And I then was called up for West Indies in 2012. I didn't play in 2012 in the tour to Bangladesh, but I went to replace Tino Bess in the 5-match ODI series. Never forget it. And to me, that was basically, to me, the defining moment of my career. That HPC stint, understanding the how the mind works, and just trying then to really get the best out of myself when I step on the cricket field.
Such a beautiful journey.
Yeah.
You know, if you have had a long career, and if you could play with some historical cricketers, you know, who would that be and why?
2 players that stand out. Well, there are 3 actually. I would love to play with Joe Garner. And reason being is because I know Joe Garner personally, And the Joe Garner, in comparison to the Joe Garner people tell me about when he was playing, like, two completely different people. But I've seen that side of him in terms of he's a very hard man, you know, he's very to the bone, you know, to the dot. Like, he's a I wouldn't say a taskmaster, but he's one of those guys, he's a no-nonsense guy. Uh-huh. But hearing about him playing cricket, I would have loved to seen or played cricket with him and Malcolm Marshall. Curtly Amers was always I was always a massive fan of Curtly Amers. Growing up, Curtly Amers was my favourite fast bowler, 100%. Curtly Amers was just one of those people who just, to me, was just unique and impressive, man. Like, you know, I never seen a guy that's tall, be so accurate and, you know, create so much fear in batsmen. And then meeting Brian Lara and meeting Brian Lara and being around Brian in the last 6 years of my life has been, I would say, a revelation, to be honest. And particularly in Test cricket, I think Brian is one of those people who should be around that Test team or our Test team. The way he thinks about the game, man. And I just remember we went to South Africa last year. And for me, Brian was the reason I was able to get the performances in that I got. And I remember getting 81 in at first Test match. I felt alright. I got in and got out. I remember I bowled a spell in the first Test match, and Brian came to me and said, "What was that? Like, what was this here, man? You way behind this, like, damn your job." So then I went back out after the break, and I put on a spell, a massive spell. It was a big spell. And Brian said, "Look, all right, well, that's the benchmark there. You can't fall on that benchmark." And it's just something as simple as that. And the series went through, and I was my normal self, obviously playing our holding role, but still could get wickets. And then the second Test match, I said, "Well, we spoke about bat bowling. You never tell me what batting, man." I said, "Batting? Man, batting simple, man. You're a big tall man. You got to hit the ball, man. You got to strike some fear. You know, you got to be a bit more positive, a bit more aggressive." And they said, "Well, cool." And you know, I went to in second Test match and played some shots, and I scored 80. I should have probably gotten 100, but I mean, credit must go to Gishmoti, man, because he put on a big partnership with me in the last wicket, and unfortunately he got out and left me. But yeah, I would like to pose that question to you, man, because obviously we got a rich history in the Caribbean, and you are obviously a big cricket fan. I know you're a guy who studies the game well. You're a guy who strategizes well. Obviously playing under you and playing with you, I know that you're a strategist, so it would be interesting to hear who you would love to play with, you know, back if you could. You know?
I think fortunate for me is that I've played with a few players that I've actually wanted to play with. You know, I think Chris Gayle, because he's from my home country and he did so well for so long. You know, I've always wanted to play with him as a little boy growing up. You know, also Kumar Sangakkara has been a favorite of me for a very long time. You know, fortunate for me, I've experienced playing with him while playing for the Jamaica Tallowers. But a person that I've never played with is Brian. And, you know, I would want to play with Brian, you know, for obvious reasons that you mentioned. You know, he's world class, and just the way he go about the game, the way he think about it, and they said that when he was preparing, he was a master at preparing, you know. So I would have wanted to experience those stuff, and obviously all the great innings that you have played, you know, you would have wanted to be at one of the hen or be in the dressing room sitting down and watching such a master at work, you know. So if things could have changed, I would definitely play with Brian and see if a little bit of his greatness could rub off on me.
Man, you and me both. All right, just share with me, man, just an experience or a match that really stands out for you in your cricketing journey, man. Like, I know that you've got tons of memories, tons of experiences, but give us a little insight on one.
I think when I first started playing for West Indies, you know, I started playing. My first game was in 2016 when I made my ODI debut. Yeah, and I made my ODI debut in Harare in Zimbabwe, a tri-series with Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka. You know, my first game I scored 43 off about 20 deliveries. You know, just being young, Rovman, and fearless. You know, and I think at that moment, the way when I came in and the reception that you guys gave me and how I feel, you know, I felt so good. I felt as if I belong. And I made a commitment to myself that I'll try my best to keep getting that feeling, and I'll try my best to play international cricket or play cricket at the highest level, whether it be franchise cricket, international cricket, for as long period as I can, you know, because, you know, as I said before, cricket is forefront in my life, and I've dedicated all my life to cricket, you know. So to get that feeling, and, you know, each time I'm playing, I keep searching back for that feeling. You know, I'll ask you the same question. Can you share a memorable experience that impacted your cricketing journey?
It's funny that you know said what you said, because I was actually thinking back to the first time. I was trying to think about the first time I met you, and I would never forget. I was playing. We were playing a club match at UE. You were playing for UE at that time. It wasn't. Yeah, I was playing for Wanderers.
I remember that game.
And I was standing at first lit, and I had a go at you. I was what we call it in Caribbean, I was blinding you. Yeah. I was giving him a lot of chat, you know, and I didn't know him. I didn't know Rovman at that time. I didn't know who he was, because obviously the university team is a team where it gives guys a lot of opportunity from around the Caribbean. Yeah. So it was, to me, it is one of the best pathways for me in Caribbean cricket, because, you know, it gives more people exposure. But seeing Rovman at that time, never knowing who he was, didn't know his capabilities. And, you know, I don't know if I was playing international cricket then, or
you was playing international cricket.
I was playing international cricket at that time.
It was a case of me as a youngster coming to bat, and Jason Ola was at slip, and I was like, wow, is this Jason Ola? And then I know that if I bat long enough, you will come on to bowl a few at me.
And little did I know, man, I gave him a lot of chat, and, you know, he stood up to the test, man. He started to thump the bowling around the park, and I had to remember having to give you the points. I always say give people the papers. I had to give you the papers after that. Not, but to me, what stood out for me at that stage was the amount of pushing and pressure I would have probably put on you, and not put on you, but like just obviously chat.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people, you know, I like to see how people react to certain things. And the way he was very quiet, he didn't say a word back. Rovman just staying there, you know, he started the bat, you know, he graph one, and then he started to, you know, stomp his authority. And I like that. I like to see players really stomp their authority. Like, and that was just a memorable moment for me in terms of our history. So I think that I would put that up there, and the significance in that is to seeing the pathway, because obviously you came from Jamaica, you made the choice to come to Barbados to live, to go to school, you know, and then to see that you were able to get in that environment and excel. To me, that's something that's very special, and something that combined campuses and university and Cricket West Indies could boast of in their system. A lot of credit
have to be given to the CCC program, you know, and the University of the West Indies all across the region. Yeah. You know, they have produced a lot of world-class cricketers, a lot of cricketers that are playing and that have played for West Indies over the last 10 years or so have come through that program, you know. Hopefully Caribbean governments can come together, and while they resurface or reshape West Indies cricket, they realize that the university platform is as important as any other. If you had to face a batter, or if you had to face a bowler or bat to a particular bowler of the past, who would that be?
All right, one ball I would love to face. I always say I would love to face Shoaib Akhtar. Just one ball. I don't think I want to face any more than one ball. But I remember Sherwin Campbell coaches on the 15 cricket. And Sherwin, I always ask Sherwin, like, who was the fastest man you faced? And you know how Campbell started. He must say, Akhtar. So when he said that, I was like, whoa. And then I seen some clips of Akhtar. A lot of bowlers don't look fast on TV, but seeing Akhtar running on, he's one of the men that stand out and look quick on TV. So I would just love to face him to see how quick he was and to get a gauge of it. And then batters I'd love to bowl to, Brian, I would go say Brian. And I bowled to Brian. Luckily, I bowled to him in a charity game. I remember for the Dominica Relief game. It was a charity game put on for after the hurricane hit Dominica, just to raise funds for Dominica. And Brian played that game, and I got to bowl to him. But I mean, it was obviously a different thing. But I would love to go back and see our bowl at Brian in his prime, or, you know, early in his career where he was sharp and, you know, young. All right. We talk a lot about more of the serious stuff, but share a funny on-field incident that stands out for you, man. Anything that you would say sticks in the forefront of your mind?
On-field incident that stands out for me. For maybe the very first time on the podcast, I'm sticking as to what incident. We'll come back to that. What on-field incident stand out for you?
I guess my incident. Well, not incident. I had a little. Not back. I can't even call it back and forth. We played Sri Lanka in COVID, a test series, and Danajaya De Silva and I gave him a lot of chat to, and it was caught on film. And whenever I watch it back, I just can't believe it was me that was doing it, because I know I was having fun, and it was in the game and what's not. It was a flat wicket in Antigua, so both test matches drew, and I was just in the game, just trying to be engaged, and I guess give Danajaya a lot of time. All Danajaya does is smile. And then me and him became really good friends and really good after that, because I respected him, because he was a good player too, or is a good player, and I'm glad to see he's gone on to now captain in Sri Lankan Test cricket. But that is something that really stands out. And then the little clips that people put out, and it was pretty funny.
Let's get into the superhero realm of things.
Mm-hmm.
If you could have been a superhero, who would it be?
So I'm more a realistic person, right? So, I mean, I like Batman. I'm a big Batman fan. And the reason I like Batman is because Batman is the only human without superhuman or superhero like powers. So you had to be creative to find, like, obviously things in his utility belt, the Batmobile, He doesn't have a gun, he doesn't have a sword, but he was just a man punching and fighting, That's my kind of superhero. So I would be Batman any day. I just don't run around in the trunks and the cape, but
I would go down the Superman realm of things.
Okay. But why?
I just think that he's strong. Not just strong, he's smart. If you should look on some of the stuff that he did and some of the people that he conquered, a little bit of smarts had to come into it. The fact that he's strong, I think in this world, you gotta be strong. Whether it be mentally or physically, you have to find some level of strength within yourself. If you could create a cricket fantasy team of this era or of the next or of the eras before, pick your top 11.
I've done this so many times, right? And every time I do it, it's like, I can't believe I picked this man ahead of this man. But it's a hard one, man. So, like, all right, I can pick based on not stats, but my preference.
Okay.
Right? So I ain't really going to go into the stats. So, opening batsman, I would pick Virender Sehwag as my opener. Just because Sehwag is a master blaster, man. Just one of those people that can, beat some bowling. To open with Sehwag, I will go with
we will pick ours at the same time.
All right, you go. You pick an opening batsman.
So I'll pick our opener. Maybe to go with Sehwag, Chris Gayle, right and left combination.
Well, that's my pick too. Sharp, crampy. 3. I gonna be very, very biased. So I going towards Viv. I just think Viv was a dominant force in his era, and I think Viv, if Viv had to play in this era as well, he'd be dominant as well. So I'm picking Viv at 3.
So you pick number 3. Should I pick number 4 or should I pick a number 3? How are we doing it?
Yeah, let me just pick one. Yeah, we combine ours. So you pick your number 4.
Number 4. Is it a case where Brian Lara and Virat Kohli would be in the same team? I would go Brian Lara for number 4.
Well, if you didn't go Brian, I would have something else to say there, man. But let's see, number 4. Now again, let me remind you, I like to pick combination, So I ain't just picking numbers. So unfortunately, I am not going to go with Virat Kohli at 5. But my number 5 is going to be... I can get a lot of licks for this, but this is my number 5. My number 5 is... Nah, I can't do that, man. I can pick Virat Kohli.
Right, number 5 is Virat Kohli.
Yeah.
It's often discussed that he is potentially one of the greatest all-rounders ever. I think at number 6, I would drop in Jack Callis.
Jack Callis. That's fair. 7, we could go for the wicketkeeper then. So my wicketkeeper is Gilchrist. I ain't even going too far past Adam Gilchrist. I just think Adam Gilchrist changed the game, man.
Who captain the team?
Shoot, boy, that's a funny one there. So who we got? I got Sarah. He's not captain. I wouldn't put Sarah. I would say either Viv or Brian.
Okay. So you have 7. I would go with 8. We'll start with. I would go with a spinner. I'll go with Shane Warne.
Shane Warne. Perfect. I wouldn't even go past. So we got 9, 10, 11. So we can go 3 quicks. So, boy, my first quick is Malcolm Marshall. I ain't going past Marco.
My second quick, I would go with Dale Steyn, the man from South Africa.
I can respect that. And this is a hard one. But I think you gotta give him props, man. And I can't go without it. I would go with Glenn McGrath number 11. That's my 11th flick there.
And remember, guys, it's not a team based on statistics.
Yeah.
It's just a team based on persons who we actually like watching play.
Yeah.
And we think we're world-class cricketers.
Just to be clear.
One rule that you'd like to see change or modify in modern cricket.
Oh man, a rule or I don't like this thing with. Well, it's been changed. The soft signal is gone. So I would. That's one thing. But I don't like the. Well, I don't know if to call it the impact play rule. I just don't like that, man. So I take that out of cricket.
That is the first rule I would take complete, not even modify, but take it completely out of 100% cricket.
Agree.
The impact rule.
No.
And then the next thing that I will slightly change is the umpire's call. You know, I believe that it shouldn't be umpire's call, you know, because sometimes you can't let a game be determined on a decision that an umpire make, or if you understand. And then why I say that, because I wasn't a big fan of the full overall with technology taking over, you know. I was one of those old timer where we believe that the game has so much more chill, so much more entertainment when the umpire stand up, make a decision, and then whatever decision he makes, we have to live with it. But we realized that so much bad decisions were being made, and then the technology helped to set things in a straight path. But what I would do is that I would take out the umpire's call for LBW, and if it's all 3 reds, or if it looks good in the sense where the ball hit him in line, or hit him 50% of the ball in line, or whatever the rule is, I would not say umpire's call, but I would give those things out.
Yeah, I agree in some instance with the umpire's call. I'm not a big fan of it either, but I honestly don't have the solution, because I feel if you go from that extreme where you do everything hitting is out, or you know, I think that might carry the game to a different level. But one thing I would say is, if it was up to me, for T20 cricket especially, I taking all them strategic timeouts, all them breaks. I think the T20 game's taking too long, man. I mean, I just think the pace of playing T20 cricket just slowing down, and I feel as though you're taking so long to play a T20 game. So I would take out strategic timeouts, then the halfway timeout, the timeout for the batting team, and I taking all those out. Especially
in the ILT20. Yeah, I think it have way too much break. Just to elaborate breaks, on the point that you mentioned, after 6 overs there is a break, and when you reach 10 or 12 over, there's another break, and then after that you have a break that the batting team can take at 15. That is too much break, and I understand that when they do take those breaks, it is for a financial benefit in the sense where that is where they get the sponsors on the head and stuff. But I think there are different ways of where they can still gain that extra cash.
Yeah, I just think too with that, I think it intensifies the game, because now you get the lulls of the game, so teams know that got momentum can continue having the momentum, you know, and then I am not giving you an opportunity to strategize. So I give you a chance. You got to be able to think on your feet. So that's really skill. So if you giving me impact players where you're giving you probably extra batter, extra bowler, then I give you less time to think. So I am not letting you think about anything. So let me just continue to keep the pace of play pretty good.
Just to move away a little bit from cricket. Name one career outside of the realm of sport that you'd aim to achieve.
I don't want to say aim, but I got a keen interest in architecture and building. I mean, if I could probably go back to school, or if I would want to go back to school, I'll probably look to do something along those lines in terms of understanding, not necessarily designing, but understanding how to read drawings and plans. Like I like building, I like that kind of, I like interior design as well too. So I think I could pick up a plan and I could work out like obviously dimensions and different things in plans. But I would love to be able to be a little deeper or deep dive into it a little bit more. So I think if I had to go into a career after cricket, it would be somewhere around architecture and building. And yeah, for you, well, I mean, if you had to do anything else, or would you want to do anything else after cricket?
For me, my first love was to be a soldier. Okay. In another life, I would definitely be a soldier.
But why though?
I just, as a young boy growing up, you looked on career path that was accepted in society. A teacher. I wasn't. I could be a teacher, but I wasn't a fan of the jacket and all that and the shoes in the entire day and in a classroom. When you look on being a doctor, lawyer, an engineer, those kind of professions that are respected. I don't think my brain would allow me to be a doctor or a lawyer. It's a little bit too much work for me, to be honest. So I simplify it and say that, okay, a policeman or a soldier. And I never wanted to be a police. I wanted to be a soldier because it was a little bit more respected than a policeman. When you see soldier come around, you say, wow.
Yeah, you got to straighten up.
You got to straighten up. A lot of times people see police and they just, it's a career path. It's a profession that now people... It is people don't give them as much respect as they should get. Yeah. You understand? Because and the respect do comes around because people lose respect for them because they have done so much madness when are caught on camera when you see. So for me it would definitely be a soldier.
All right. To wrap it all up, man. Who would be the funniest person in the dressing room? And if you got any funny moments you want to share one with us, man.
I think we will just simplify it to by Capital's dressing room. I think the funniest guy in the dressing room is a guy from England. He's from Kent. He's Sam Billings. Sam Billings is just a ray of hope. He's just always there trying to find a banter. He's just always there trying to bring positive energy across the dressing room. So I would give Sam the tag of being the funniest person in the dressing room. What says you?
I can simplify it. Easy. Sam is easily the funniest person. And the moment that I had was the last game as well too. We normally obviously play our game of pig, which is just really keep up to one touch. And then obviously you get your strikes as the letters in pig. But then Sam was having one of those days where everybody was picking on him. And I always stay next to Sam because Sam comes at me, I go back at Sam. And yeah, he got pretty upset. I'm pretty pissed before the game. But then when he cooled off, it was like all fun and games again. So I went and give him a big hug and lift him up. And that was a funny time for me and him, man. So yeah.
Yes, it was an absolute pleasure.